Hey everybody, what kind of Stetson should I get? I'm thinking about a Stetson Saxon in black, which is almost the exact same hat as this. As you can see, I'm kind of a creature of habit. This is called, this guitar I always play is called a flat rock. It's the same as my green ones. You can see I've got two green flat rocks over there. And then I've got a third flat rock in my hand. And the light blue one is the same company. They're all Reverend. So I tend to, repeat myself. If I find something I like, I just, like my green hat, I bought two of them, because I know I'll like it. It's the old thing, you mess around, you get experimental, you try things, you get to a certain place, and when you find it, grab it, that's how I feel. So, let's talk about Stetsons now, okay? Before I get too tangenty and get off the main course. What kind of Stetson should you get? You can think about it. Now, I think of it as two different sort of pathways: dress hats, Western hats. So dress hats are what people call fedoras today. Fedoras, basically like a snap brim, generally has a wide ribbon, you know what I'm saying, softer felt. One of these, dress hats, or a Western hat, which generally is thicker felt, harder. It doesn't snap up and down, except for the open road, which is kind of a fedora Western hybrid or something. But Westerns are generally more like this. They're curled up, in different ways. They could curl on the sides, curled into a V. There's other Westerns that are just sort of down, like that kind of duster guy, those duster dudes, kind of an Australian look. You've got the duster on, the long, and then that hat that goes over your head, face like the Undertaker. That's a different kind of a Western look. It's almost like the Western teardrops. They do that. They go down and maybe a little bit up on the sides, It's basically an outback look. Teardrop, so within the two genres, dress hats and Westerns, you have a couple of different pathways too. So let's talk about our different choices. We're going to take the pathway towards the dress hats and fedoras now. Basically means the same thing. I'm just not used to saying fedoras, which is a kind of it's a term that came maybe in the last 7 to 8 years. It became very popular. I would say 10 years it became, people started using it. And before, people said fedoras, but they said, other stuff too, dress hats, classic hats, and now it's just a fedora. So I'm more used to calling them dress hats from my childhood and stuff, that's kind of what my parents called them, I think. That's probably where I got it from, But if you're shopping for fedoras, I just don't want to confuse you, like, what does he mean dress hat or fedora? It's the same thing. Doesn't mean it has to be dressy. You could wear it like me and be a total bum in a t-shirt and a pair of like pajama looking slacks, and it still goes, that's, I'm Mr. Comfortable. I like to be comfortable at this age, melancholy mood today. Alright, not necessarily. More mellow. Mellow. Is mellow short for melancholy? Probably not. Okay. I'll pull you in a little bit. Hopefully the noise doesn't sound too scrapey. I'm trying to do it gently. Rid of the glare. Let's go glareless. Let's go glareless. You guys good with that? Go a little more intimate. Do some intimacy today. Alright, let's talk about some of the basic models again. We were talking about them yesterday, and we'll talk about them more today. Okay, when you're starting to do the fedora thing, firstly, it's good to understand sizing. I've got different videos on sizing. You know, it's a small, medium, large, extra, double X thing. Most people fit into medium or large. You could work with centimeters rather than the 7 and 7/8 and 6 and 7/8. You know, those are American hat sizes, which are, you know, another size range. But if you use centimeters, like I'm a 59 or a 60 or a 57, that's more universal, and every single hat has that. Not only that, it's easier to measure, because you could actually measure your head, and you measure it down to centimeters, or, you know, and then you don't have to find a conversion chart, you know, and say, okay, what's a 6 and 7/8? What's a, you know, how much is a 22.4 inches? No conversion. You just, you know, okay. If you're a 57, you're a medium. If you're a 59, you're a large. 58 is average. So figure 57 is medium, 59 is large. But yeah, you've got small as 55, 57 medium, 59 large, 61 extra large. And there's sizes in between, obviously, and there's sizes above it and below it, all the way down 52 to 64, you know, they go all the way down and up. Generally, most hat shops will start at a small and stop at either an XL or a double X. So they'll start at a 55, that's where the smallest size is, and they'll bottom out at either a 7 and 5/8, sometimes a 7 and 3/4. So that's extra large, or just like the beginning of double X, you know, the smaller portion of double X. So it's almost every size you can get. But there are some companies that go bigger, you know, like a Kubra. Stetson makes certain hats up to 8. Light felt hats tend to run, you know, bigger because they have no leather bands inside and they're stretchy. But going away from size, let's talk about your choices now. Okay, your brim sizes are going to be pretty much setting the whole tone for the whole hat. It's kind of like that. It's you know, it's the difference between like a girl with long hair, a girl with medium hair, or a girl with really short hair. It sets the tone for the whole look of the hat, basically, and it sets the tone for your style too. You know, you're gonna do a medium brim look like this. Okay, hold on. All right, so this is like a 2-inch brim I'm wearing, kind of shortish, kind of medium-ish, right? All right. Or am I going to do not a 2-inch, but a 2.5 inch, which is more kind of fedora-like, you know, it's more like typical when you think of a fedora, you know, the temple is about a 2.5 inch brim, a little ovally, so it's like a 3/8 here and it's a 5/8 there. So we say 2.5 inch. It's basically a 2.5 inch. Okay, so 2.5 inches of full brim. It's a classic brim or a full brim. Humphrey Bogart, you know, whatever, detective, gangster, Indiana Jones, Rabbi, you know, Rabbi would be bigger actually. He'd be more than 3, like 4 or 5. So forget that. So though it's the wide brim look, but it's not super wide. It's classic wide brim, you know. It's a typical classical size, 2.5 or 2 3/8, which is almost the same thing. This hat is 2 3/8 on the ends, so they look almost the same. All right, or a 2-inch brim, which is kind of a medium brim. It's not teeny tiny, but it looks kind of smallish. It's a good thing, you know. It's subtle, it's laid back, it's authentic. Or, you know, you could go bigger. There's such thing as, you know, like 3-inch brims, and you start to get bigger yet. You know, 3 inches, you're getting kind of I don't know, oversized, you know. You have to decide what look is for you. So what you do is you look at a bunch of hats that have those specs on it and try to find people in them, not just looking at the models of the hats, you know, like pictures, you know, oh, look at this hat, look at that. You got to kind of see people wearing them. It gives you what the hat looks like, what the image is like when it's on, compared to a face, you know, how big is it, how wide is this thing. So you could, let's say you're interested in 2-inch, okay? Try to find out some classic 2-inch brims. So this video, I'll tell you, the Stetson Saxon. That's a very classical 2-inch brim hat. It's been around forever. When I got the job in '94, we had aisles and aisles of Saxons. We had a version that had no pinches and a version with pinches, and each version came in like 4 or 5 colors, just like aisles of them. It was kind of like the old man's hat, or just the typical, you know, like old dude wearing a Stetson, you know, classic hat, you know. The Saxon's going to be a typical 2-inch brim look. So what you got to do is find pictures of people wearing Saxons. Stetson Saxon on model, or celebrity wearing Stetson Saxon, something like that. You could, you know, search it and you just try to find people wearing it. You know, you'll see some corny model in their catalog maybe, or some big online stores will have some model that they paid wearing it, you know, brim up, brim down. Remember, they're totally different. Now, these hats can be presented any way you'd like. You can flip the brim all the way up like this. You could flip the brim down, which is kind of more standard and, you know, traditional. Up is a little bit more kind of cool and funky. It's a little bit casual. Could be dressy too, but it's a little edgy, and, you know. Down like this is going to be just like I said, more classic. Wearing it straight is going to be more conservative. Wearing it at a little angle is going to be a little bit more jaunty and fashionable, you know. The third way to wear it would be everything down in the back too. Okay. Now, you're not going to see many pictures of hats like that, but if you're a guy who likes to wear it down in the back, don't go searching for a hat that's down in the back, because they all do that, you know what I'm saying? You could find one. They make special hats like that where the sides are a little shorter. It's a dimensional brim, but, you know, it's part of the style when they bring the sides in a little. It gives it a safari-ish look, but remember, all of these hats could be presented 3 ways: up, classic, or all the way down, safari style. 3 different ways. It's a snap brim, or you could do like Carlos Santana does and, you know, be different and just snap the back down. That's kind of like his gimmick, you know, front up. Or you can get creative. You could do these weird side things, you know, kind of sidey side thing. It's all up to you. But if you're looking for images of people, you have to, you got to find them either up or down. So you might have trouble finding one or the other. If it's a more of a cool kind of a attitude-y hat, or you know, like a modern hat, you know, you might see it more up. But if it's a more dressy, I don't know, you might see it down. It also depends on the shop. Like at JJ's, we do, you know, one up, we do one down, one up, we do the inside, you know, the top view. We try to give you all the views, but we don't always do every view, you know. But it depends on the owner. The owner might be old school and he doesn't like to photograph hats up, you know. It might be his thing. But just know that these hats can snap up and down, with very few exceptions. There's some hats that don't, but you know, it wouldn't be one of these classic fedoras. You know, this thing's called trilbies, where they just sort of snap down in the front, but they don't really go up. They look weird when they go up, you know. But we don't sell many of them, and we don't really deal with many of those hats here, so it's kind of almost irrelevant. We talked about the 2-inch brim, okay? Now there are other brims too. There's shorter than 2. Let me show you something else. I've got it right behind the camera here. This is a hat that has a 1.5 inch, 1 3/4, I'm sorry. So 1 3/4 inch brim, a little shorter than this. This is a 2, so it's only 1/4 of an inch different. Okay, that's the Asher. The Asher's got this cool old 60s cut, you know, like it's cool to wear when you're hanging out on vacation, you know, on the beach, or just like on a kind of springy day. It almost feels springy and summery, even though it could be felt, or it's hard to explain. It's like very laid back and cool, you know. So the felt version doesn't have quite such a summery 60s vibe to it. This one does because it's turquoise and cream and it's straw. But the Asher comes in felt also, and that's a 1 3/4 inch brim. Another great hat to think about. We're out of some colors now. We've been waiting forever, but hopefully they'll pop up soon. Most of the Stetsons are on order, but sometimes they delay, so it's just kind of the way it is. What else? Okay. The Asher. The Asher's going to be smaller, but not the smallest. 1 3/4 is a good brim to think about. It's better if you've got a thinner face, if you've got a smaller frame or a regular frame, but not, you know, if you're a huge guy, maybe not. You can get a stop at a 2-inch brim if you're a really huge guy. If we're talking about just a little pudgy, you know, yeah, you could probably do it. I've seen some pretty big guys wearing the Asher, and they always look cool in it because it's not shrimpy, tiny brim. We do sell really small brim Stetsons, 1 3/8 inch brim. So this is 1 3/4. There's a hat called the Morgan, which is 1 3/8. So it's more of a pork pie. It's a lower crown with a diamond. So it's almost the same hat as this. Okay, this is a rounded back, a teardrop shape for obvious reasons. It's like a teardrop. The Morgan has a point in the back too. So there's your diamond, see? It's got a lower crown, like the lowest crown of any Stetson, you know, we sell it. Instead of here, it's like down there. Low crown and a shorter, yeah, really short brim. So if this is 1 3/4, it's a 1 3/8. So you're chopping off a good amount of this, and it looks smooth. But this is more of a fedora, where the Morgan's like a pork pie kind of thing. Now let's go to going back up from 2 inch, right? We talked about 1 1/4. We talked about 2-inch medium brims. Okay, here's a 2 1/2 inch temple. It's a classic brim. So 2 1/2 is your classic look. 2 3/8, same thing, classical brim. This is 2 1/2 here, 2 5/8 in the front, so it's sort of the same look. Alright, that's your big brim, your classic gangstery look. It's also Indiana Jones. The temple model, which I'm wearing, is that, you know, Temple of Doom kind of thing. You flip the back down like a safari thing, and then you go. Moving from there, I want to get another hat, okay? But I'm right behind the camera here, so don't get scared. I'm not leaving you guys, okay? Alright, so let's say we take this hat here. We're going to compare this 2 1/2 inch 2 1/2 inch temple to a 3-inch hat, okay? This is what, for instance, the Madrid looks like, our 3-inch, or anything with a 3-inch brim. 3 inches, we sell the natural, we sell the Madrid, old hats like the San Sebastian, and there are other things too with 3-inch brims, but 3 is an oversized look. As you can see, it's, you know, kind of oversized. It's a good thing if you're a bigger guy. It's all relative. If you're a real big guy, the 3-inch will look more like this 2 1/2 inch does on me. It's going to look classical on you, you know. Like, let's say you have a really big face, you're overweight. So the 3 won't look so big on you. It'll look more, I don't know, less oversized, you know, more just sort of like a classic brim. So it's all relative to the wearer. If I have kind of a bony face right now, other times my face gets fatter depending on, you know, if I'm eating a lot or junk food or not. But I'm going to say, it's relative to the face. So think about that. So, you have to think about what your face is like. If you're looking at a picture of somebody wearing a temple and the temple looks really big and wide on them, I'm not so sure how it's going to look, and that looks kind of wide. If your face is wider than that guy, it's going to look trimmer on you, So it's all sort of relative to the face. If you come in and you're a little tiny, skinny, like little short guy who wears a size 52, like extra small, and we find an extra small, but it's a 3-inch brim, it's gonna look so out of place on him, because his face is, it's relative to the wearer. So keep that in mind when you're choosing hats too. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think you guys get it. What looks like a 2-inch brim on me, a 2-inch brim might look like a medium thing on me, but if you're a really huge guy, it might look like a short brim on you, okay? If you got a really skinny banana face, it might look more classic, like a classic wider brim kind of thing. But this is the 3-inch. The 3-inch, it's starting to venture past that detective-y gangster thing into something else. It starts to get this. Some people see it as looking a little casual, kind of outdoorsy. Other people think it looks sort of like something Puccini would wear, or Verdi, one of those what do you call it, opera, like a conductor or somebody, like opera singer in a cape or something. I am a Verdi, Giuseppe, it's very elegant, like something you would wear, strolling through the piazza with, a beautiful overcoat and a scarf or something like that. The 3-inch brim can look very Italian, very, very chic, and it looks custom because 95% of the hat makers out there don't do it. Like Stetson didn't really do 3-inch brim fedoras, not until very, very recently. They came out with the calico, which is sort of classified as a Western fedora. It has no pinches and it has a big feather and some leather lanyard that comes off. But they're sort of keeping up with the times now. They're edgy. They're doing flat brims, and they're almost trendsetters. I'm going to say they're up with the latest trends now. So, excuse me. What I was saying is, I don't know what I was trying to prove there, but 3-inch brim is going to look different to different people. It's going to look different in different colors. I tend to shy away from black 3-inch brims, but it can look so elegant, like that strolling through the piazza opera singer guy thing. And I used to have an opera singer from Germany. I mean, maybe he's watching now. A really nice guy, glasses. He used to fly in and out all the time, and he did tours and everything. And it's like a big time, opera singer, like at the Met and stuff. And he used to wear it. It was awesome with the long coat and everything, and had a few Verdis, and I would always esteem his 3-inch brim. So it can look really Italian and decadent and elegant, but it can also look a little kind of woodsy and outbacky, like, honey, I got my sweater on, let's go fishing with my fedora on. Put a little fishing line thing in there, little feathers and crap, flies, yeah. It can look like that too. So a 3-inch brim, like I said, it starts passing that, 2.5-inch brim has that classic film noir thing going for it. Once you start to go to the 3, it's doing something like that most hats don't come in 3-inch brims, so that hat looks special. For some reason, it looks custom and special, and there's something very expensive and cool looking about it, because the 3-inch brim fedora are rare. You don't see them a lot, especially one that's really well designed and serious. Not like some kind of gimmicky, like zoot suity crap or something. So when you're seeing a real serious, solid looking 3-inch, it's unusual, and they speak to me. I think they're really cool. They're good to hide behind also. and I wear them various ways. You know, I could do the brim up thing. When I have my hair down, it looks very good. My hair is back like this, not as good, but it's all right. You know, I do that. It's the Italian opera singer thing, and then I do the brim all the way down. I do a kind of like a little floppy thing, which I like a lot. I like wearing it that way. So they're fantastic hats, 3-inch brims, and each one is different. Everybody's got their own, you know, crown with a 3-inch. You know, they don't all have the same vibe to them. The Madrid is kind of like a lower crown, but wide and stocky, and it's got a little snap and stiffness and a bound edge. You know, this one is kind of a high crown and very soft and a raw edge. They all look different. The band gives it a different look, the crown height, and they all have different vibes. The Madrid to me is really nice. I like the solidity of it. I like that it's got a nice, even, round, snappy brim. The flange on it is really good. The crown is like a little lower, more like this, you know. Just looks so cool, laid back. That's a 3-inch brim, okay? Now from there, there's other things too. The Western hats are almost self-explanatory. The cattleman crease is like what they call the rancher, the tycoon, the Shasta, the 100X, the 50, all the ones that have the crease that looks kind of like 3 fingers. You know the one I'm talking about, like that, right? Okay. That's a classic cowboy crease. The open road has it, but it's low. It's called a cattleman's crease. Sometimes we call it a 3-finger crease because you take 3 fingers like a claw and you just make 3 creases. 1 on top, 2 on the sides. So that's how you kind of do it, you know. Now that's going to be the more Western of the 2 shapes. The basic 2 shapes you see are a cattleman crease and a teardrop. Teardrop is going to be for lower hats, generally smaller hats. So if your cattleman's hats looks too high, too brimmy, too big, too much rodeo Texas for you, and you just want to take it down a notch, maybe you're shorter, maybe just feel comfortable in a teardrop hat because you know, the cattleman just is not you. It looks a little lower and it's a little more in control and less, I'm not going to say less flashy, but a little less of that, you know, real full-on Western rodeo thing. It's laid back, it's slightly out-backy, not necessarily, but it's smaller and lower, so it's a great hat for a lady. So if you're doing his and hers Western, sometimes the guy will do the cattleman and the gal will do a smaller hat, like a Dune with a fancy horsehair band, or a what else? A Pawnee. That's a really nice hat. But the Dune is really nice because you could take it has a very nice kind of a string Western band, just like a ribbon, like a thin ribbon, like a Stratoliner kind of thing, and a bound edge. So it's a thin ribbon here and a thin ribbon there. So it'll be like, you know, white with white with white, and they're thin. So it looks great for a lady. It's a low crown. It's a teardrop, which is also low, and it's deep, so you can pull it deep. Where cattleman's crease, you have this bump inside here, which sometimes sits too high for ladies too. They don't like that. They like to pull their hats down deeper. Not to sound sexist or stereotyping, but I've just found as a group, a lot of ladies like to pull their hats down a little deeper like this, which is something I kind of do also. What I do is I do it super deep at an angle. That's my thing. My neighbors are beefing again. All the time. All right. So the teardrop is lower. It's smaller, more compact, and less, you know, yippee-ki-yay. The cattleman is full out, you know, Roy Rogers, James Dean, you know. Those are going to be the 2 basic shapes. Teardrop is going to be nice and deep for you, but with the 3-finger cattleman crease, sometimes they have these high crowns. So even though it's jutting into the crown, you know, they're high. So it's not always a problem. If anything, you just bubble out the top a little bit. You just, you know, tiny bit of bubbling, like. Like you stick your finger inside and kind of do like, see? It's like that. So you got a little bit of depth. Maybe you make it long like a kind of sausage, like a dash. And what that does is it's not only getting that up there, but before it was down into the crown. So you brought it from inside the crown to the roof and then above the roof, kind of, you know? You bring it up, that's enough. And then your hat could go down. So those are two basic shapes. There's other things too, like the Gambler. The Stetson Royal Flush is the biggest, most popular example. The Gambler is the flat top, kind of Clint Eastwood round type. Has no pinches, it's just round, kind of like this. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so the Gambler is like that. I don't know what kind of look that is, a Leonard Skinner or a Clint Eastwood, or it's a Mississippi Gambler, a Western Gambler. There's a Wild Wild West, if you remember that movie. That's a Gambler. Definitely a lot of Clint. I'm not sure who else. Maybe Waylon Jennings and one of those kind of outlaw guys. He wore it. I could be wrong though. I was never that much into country. But the Gambler is basically another hat that's good for shorter people because it's a low crown. And it's good for ladies, good for guys. It's a nice hat for somebody who doesn't want to go full out Western, but they want something really cool and fashionable. Stetson Royal Flush. Then we have things that are in between the dress hats and the Western hats. They're right down the center. There are things like flat brims now, like the Stetson Tri-City. You can see that on jjhatcenter.com, just jjhatcenter.com. No periods between JJ or anything. Let me show you something. Something like this. This is a kind of a trend now, flat brims. The Tri-City is sort of a brim like this with a lower crown. So it's got a low teardrop with a flat, wide brim. It's like a 3 3/4 inch brim, I think. Pretty wide. You can see this one is not even sitting flat on me. It's because I've got a big, thick ponytail making it too tight in the back. My hair gets a little dready when I don't wash it for like a couple of days, so it gets bigger. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of these crossover hats now. The Tri-City is one of the biggest sellers. The Stetson Dune is also like that. The Dune goes down like this, and it's got pinches. So it's kind of like a classic Outback hat, but by Stetson. Where the Tri-City has teardrop and a flat brim, completely dead flat. They do it in white, like a silver belly white with a sort of a rust orange band and rust orange binding, which is great for light hair. It's also great for putting bands on top of it. You could put a horsehair or a leather band right over that kind of orangey rust band, and it looks cool. Just layer them rather than snipping it off. Use the original band to, keep the sweat protection, against your head. And then get another band, like one of our horsehair bands that goes right over it, like a thin Western. And the two layered look excellent, really nice, like a dark brown, a black, anything. Then we also have the Tri-City in a black, comes with forest green trim here and here. That's the color I got. I bought that one. And comes in gray with a burgundy trim. There are other things too that are considered crossover hats. There are things like the Stratoliner, which is basically, it has elements of both families. I would say the Stratoliner is kind of like a classic brim fedora like this. Okay, it's a 2 3/8 inch brim. Instead of the big wide dress band, it has a thin Western band. Just like the tie, the string tie. So it's almost like a little double kind of a, tie. Then it goes down here a little bit, separates. Looks like a Colonel Sanders tie, but very thin band like that. Okay, so picture that, tone on tone. Or some of them are like olive green with like a copper brown band and a copper brown kind of iridescent copper binding, really nice. The Stratoliner has the shape of a fedora with a Western package. So it's trimmed Western, like a Western band, Western thin binding, where the Whippet is the same shape with a wide nostalgic binding and a wide nostalgic band. The wider band is going to protect the hat from sweat better because you're going to sweat onto here and it's going to wick it away from the felt up here. The Stratoliner is not going to do much at all there, but you could wear it for a while, and then if you eventually do sweat here and get a little ring, you could just cover that up with a wider band. So you don't have to do it from the beginning. You might as well get some use from the original bands, and then when it's starting to show, just peeking, you know, some kind of salt or stain is just starting to come through, slap a wide band over it, and then you start again. You got a fresh new hat again. So yeah, you could always do that, and then you'll get the sweat protection from the wider band. What else is there? We talked about Western, we talked about dress, we talked about crossovers, brim sizes. Yeah, brim size is going to be mostly it. You're going to have to think about brim size. Once you find a brim size, like you discover your two, then you think about, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to do a Stetson? You want the American Classic Standard? Or do you want something a little bit softer and more custom, kind of slightly more like custom-y, expensive thing? Then we have hats like the Ken, which is, you know, a hat that we, you know, just got totally, you know, like the best of everything from Spain, like heavy, you know, quality, very, very soft and just, you know, beautiful, luxurious felt. You could upgrade it or do the American Classic. There are differences. The Saxon has a welted edge, so it's going to be a stronger brim maybe, but the Ken has, like, you know, really good felt. It's got a raw edge with a whip stitch, a little more elegant shape, where the Saxon is a little bit more of a cool American kind of, I don't know, Sinatra meets like back in, hanging out in the back of the Smoky Pole Hall kind of thing, playing billiards, you know, the toothpick. So they're different. The same thing with when you're doing a full brim. You can do the American Classic like the Whippet or the Temple, and that's like buying a '57 Chevy or a Harley Davidson. You know, it's timed, it's tested and true. But you could also upgrade it and do a custom hat from Spain. We have something like the Seville or the Valencia, you know, and all these really crazy quality hats that we have custom made to our specs, and they tend to run about a size too tight. So if you're watching this video and you're going to order a Ken or a Seville, a Valencia, they run a little tight. So does the Cyrus. I think the Madrid too. Pretty sure, but you could ask Benji or Colin or one of those guys there. Benji's a great guy. And yeah, tell them Kevin sent you, you know, if you can, so they don't forget about me over there. And I appreciate you guys hanging and listening to me, listening to my boring hat lectures and my even more boring guitar playing. So I'm going to get a little water and play you guys out. Hold on. Yeah, I told a friend of mine who's a film director. He has a comedy channel that I'm involved in. It's called Luigi Tunnel with Frank Berenger, the Prairie Dog. That's the name of the channel. Luigi Tunnel, one word, Luigi Tunnel. Like the name Luigi, and then a tunnel he goes through. Luigi Tunnel, which is the name of the director, with Frank Berenger, the Prairie Dog. That's his YouTube channel. And I basically churn out a new comedy video every night with him. And since the beginning of the pandemic, about March 15th, 16th, or I think even before that, we've been doing one video a day, every single day. So I don't know how many videos we've done, 300 or something, but we don't miss a day. And We write a new story. Some of them are songs. We sing songs. We do parodies and stuff. And some of them are hilarious. Other ones are just like, they're all so, mind-numbing that they just make you want to scream. Like some really annoying characters and stuff. But it's kind of like a chocolate. No, it's like black licorice. It's a love it or hate it thing. You can't like kind of like black licorice. You love it or you just hate it. It's one of those kind of channels. But if you could drop by and give him a subscription or a like or something. I am on there every night, and what I'm doing is a little bit dumb, but in a kind of a good way that makes me giggle. I tend to watch them a lot. So check them out and give them a subscription or give them a like. Show them some love. Luigi Tunnel with Frank Berenger, the prairie dog. And it's different characters that, we do the voices and special effects and music, and, we sing and do all kinds of, different things, depending, like our Gumby went to the Mafia and got very, very high ratings, actually. And that's about it. He's a good guy, a really good guy, a young director, so I told him I would give him a promotion today, which is cool because I have, I don't know how many viewers. If I have 7,600 subscribers, I probably have twice as many viewers, I would say, or more, because most people don't subscribe. So if there's 14,000 people watching right now, maybe just 10,000 of you guys could subscribe to his channel. Not all of you guys. And, if you want to see a little dumb comedy now and then, we do it every single night. It doesn't matter, I'm sleepy, I want to make a video tonight. And we do it, so. Just wanted to say, heads up for Luigi Tunnel. Luigi Tunnel Play Channel is now called Luigi Tunnel with Frank Berenger, the prairie dog. Used to be called Luigi Tunnel Play Channel, but I guess they don't play on there anymore. It's more like stories and skits, musicals. There's a version of West Side Story with all dogs called the West Side Story there. You have to do a little searching, but some of the videos are kind of rank. Other ones are good. We just recently did one on Willie Nelson and one on Jerry Lee Lewis. Any musical fans, so go to Luigi Tunnel with Frank Berenger, the prairie dog, and you see a little bit more of old Kev. It's not hat related at all. It's just comedy. So you want something to watch with the kids, something a little silly, or you just feel like looking out the window and getting silly and watching something totally dumb. There you go. All right. It's to be honest, it's one of my favorite YouTube channels right now. When you have your little circles of subscriptions on the left, it tells you what you've been doing most. I think it's my #1 watch channel, so guilty pleasure, I guess.